A fantastic game in Memphis between the Rockets and Grizzlies was almost overshadowed by a weird and awful call by the referees. We're going to break it down in today's Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. On Fridays, we're your usual co-host Jake Madison at NOLA Jake on Twitter and the host of Locked On Pelicans.
I'm John Karalis at John_Karalis on Twitter and host of Locked On Celtics.
We are, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we appreciate you making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day, because we're here 7 days a week breaking down everything going on in the association, every single game this season, all in 30 minutes or less, because that's what we do here. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. All right, John, we got 5 games in the association. One really standout game, a couple others that were blowouts, but we've got some all-star reserves that we've got to talk about too, so we got to cover it all here tonight. But let's start with the best game of the night, and that is the Memphis Grizzlies beating the Houston Rockets 120-119. No Alperen Şengün, no John Morant in this one, but this one was back and forth between two of the top teams in the Western Conference. But let's start with this. The Memphis Grizzlies down 119-118, a point down, 8 seconds left after a bad three-point attempt by Fred VanVleet, in my opinion. They secure the rebound, 9 seconds left. They're running down the court. They get a dunk, but oh no, the refs called a timeout on Memphis on head coach Taylor Jenkins. Even though he didn't call a timeout, they ended up looking at it. They made him inbound the ball, and luckily Memphis inbounds it, gets the ball to Jaren Jackson Jr., who gets fouled, goes to the line, makes 2, goes up by a point there. So kind of no harm, no foul here. But let's play a quick game of real or fake to start with.
Yes.
Real or fake? The refs awarding a phantom timeout that was not called overshadows the rest of this game.
I'm going to say fake, because the net result, I think, was the same. And
they got a little lucky that Memphis won this game.
They did. And I think the VanVleet had a bad final minute.
Yes.
Turnover and two threes that, you look at Houston, a team that can, is known to execute better in these situations. Those are the best shots you can get. But I think that bailed out the officiating there in the call. But I will also say I'm not surprised, and I actually don't blame the official for having that instinct to just blow the whistle there. I think there's a problem. I just watched Celtics and Clippers last week, where Joe Mazzulla was in a late game situation, similar, desperately trying to call a timeout, scream. You could hear it on the broadcast, and the refs didn't call the timeout, and he was livid. In this one, Jenkins, livid that they did call a timeout. I think that the NBA should consider some sort of scorer's table, something, either an official, an NBA employee, a button, something where in those clutch situations, a coach can signal, press, wave down, something so it's so loud in that building, so crazy. You just got that play, your team's running out on a break, the crowd's going berserk, and no one can hear whether you're saying timeout or go, as Taylor Jenkins said. So the refs got bailed out a little bit, but also I don't blame the refs for making that mistake necessarily. I think the NBA should really take a hard look at these clutch situations and finding a clearer way for a coach to signal or call a timeout.
I think it's real, right? Because one, I'm leading the show, and I decided to lead with this, but I think that's going to kind of be the talking point after this game. Yeah, I know that was like a self-fulfilling prophecy or something like that there, right? Like, look at me just proving my point even better. But I think, when people are listening to other things or looking at other things today, this is going to kind of lead with it because it overshadows what was, a really fun game, because this isn't like the only time something like this is happening. And Taylor Jenkins was clearly shouting, go, 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 and like moving his arms of like, run, run, run. So for them to be like, oh, he called a timeout is a little weird in my opinion. And they've just got to do something that doesn't make this the lead story, right?
Sure.
Like this is a night where Jaren Jackson Jr. was named as an all-star reserve. He hit the game-winning free throws. That should be a bigger story than it was. Desmond Bane with 24 points in this one, right? Luke Kennard was on fire for a little bit at one point here. You also had a fantastic game from Jalen Green, 25 points. Dylan Brooks playing his old team. He fouls out, but was a big influence in all of this one. Like, there's so many great things from this. And I led with the referees here, but we can move on from the refs here. What do you think about Jaren Jackson Jr. being named an all-star reserve? Also Alperen Şengün, who did not play in this game either.
Yeah, I think those selections make sense. Jaren Jackson, I think, is deserving. There is some question. We had a discussion. A lot of people having a discussion about Domantas Sabonis being left off, and you're looking at who would he replace? I think that you could make that argument, but I'm fine with Jaren Jackson Jr. making the team.
Yeah.
So I think he's deserving. And I think with Şengün, the Rockets are, it's a numbers game, and they didn't get anybody voted in. They are the second seed in the West. You had to have somebody there, and you could look and you're like, well, Jalen Green could be the guy. But they run their offense through Şengün. They play so much through him that he's almost like the team representative. So I'm fine with both of those selections.
Yeah, I think all of those make sense. I think the one guy you'd look at in the West that maybe should be on there, I agree with you, should be Sabonis there, but look, with how good Houston has been, like, I really have no complaints about Şengün, who feels like their best player, even if Thompson's really come on for them, hit that game when he shot the other day against you and all of that. So
thanks.
I don't, yeah, you're right. Like, we got to mention it again. What was the phrase? Unleash the Hounds, I believe is what it was.
Hounds. Yeah. The Locked On Rockets, just, shout out Locked On Rockets. It's their whole thing. Release the Hounds, HOU in all caps.
That's pretty good, actually. Like, I won't lie.
It is. I'm not mad at it. I'm really.
Yeah, that's pretty good here. But
good.
This was a fun game between two teams. This is Memphis's only win over Houston. They were 0-3 before, so they felt like they really, really wanted and kind of needed this one in a sense. But fun game there. A little bit of drama that ended up not impacting the game, the final score. So it all worked out for the NBA, but they probably need to do something there. Let us know what you think when it comes to the referees in the comments down below on YouTube. So coming up next, let's look at the Cleveland Cavaliers running out on the Atlanta Hawks and the Los Angeles Lakers blowing out the Washington Wizards. It's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. So no waiting, no wondering, no worrying. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantee. And thank you for making a Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We're here Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, covering every single game in the association this season. We're breaking it all down right here. Make us your first listen today. Make your second listen your favorite show. I'm going to go listen to Locked On Grizzlies because I'm really curious what they thought about that kind of phantom timeout call right there. Make your favorite NBA team your second listen today. So, John, let's keep talking about the games in the association tonight. Let's move on to the Cleveland Cavaliers here, running out in the second half on the Atlanta Hawks, 137-115. Let's go over to Locked On Cavs to get more.
Danny Cunningham here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse after the Cavs beat the Atlanta Hawks 137-115. Let's talk about this one for 94 feet. I was really impressed with the way the Cavs played offensively on Thursday night, considering this is a tough back-to-back. Playing in Miami on Wednesday, playing in Cleveland on Thursday against a Hawks team that had been very good defensively throughout the month of December. I was impressed with how well things worked for the Cavs offensively. Donovan Mitchell was very good. Darius Garland, who did not play in Miami on Wednesday night due to rest, was also very good. Ty Jerome had another 20-point game. I think Evan Mobley looked more explosive. I thought he looked more aggressive getting to the rim as he continues to work his way back from that calf injury that cost him a handful of games. And defensively, the Cavs didn't have a great second quarter. They didn't have necessarily as good of a game as the past couple of games, but this was another good defensive effort. They played well enough on that end of the floor to where it wasn't something that you look back at and say, oh, I have questions about the defense. So I thought all around this was a really good night for the Cavs. Plus, of course, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley were named to the All-Star team. It is the second All-Star appearance for Darius Garland, the first career All-Star appearance for Evan Mobley. Certainly a player I think many people believe will be at that game on a regular basis. And now the Cavs have a couple days off before they welcome the Dallas Mavericks into town on Sunday.
Yeah, he makes a good point about Darius Garland being well-deserved here. Evan Mobley was like a no-brainer in my opinion. Garland also, I think, really deserved to be in there. Garland finished with 26 points on the night. Mobley had 16 and 10.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Cavs 39-9. They are having an incredible season. And even though they just had a little bit of a losing streak, it coincided with the loss of Evan Mobley. And I think Mobley is really the driver here. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell is who he is, and Garland is having an incredible season. But without Mobley, it just changes so much of what they do. Having Mobley there, his versatility, his defense, what he's able to do, just kind of being a deterrent, never mind just a shot blocker, but a deterrent in the lane. It fuels everything that the Cavs are doing. They're such a good defensive team when he's there. So they deserve to have 3 All-Stars. And
yeah, they do.
The story of the Cavs this season is Mitchell, Garland, and Mobley, and they're getting great performances from other guys here and there. And it's kind of, different guys are stepping up different days, but that's the story of their season. So it makes perfect sense to have those 3 being All-Stars.
Yeah, a couple other All-Star reserve notes that I want to get into while we're kind of on this topic here. I love that Cade Cunningham is in there. Like, I think that dude deserves it. Like, they've been a really good story after the year they had last year. To see him kind of like be the number 1 overall pick and like be the guy we thought he could be, I was really happy to see him named to that.
Yeah, look, I think it's a testament to, I really do think that fans have to recalibrate how we look at guys like Cade, who come in so young and come into situations. You're coming to a bad team, and those bad teams are bad for a variety of reasons. And you can't expect a guy as young as these first round picks to always come in and make an immediate impact. It's going to take some time, and it took some time for the Pistons to figure out who's their coach, and you make a bad decision. And luckily, look, that decision, usually when you screw up that bad on a coaching decision, it
at
can
that amount of money.
yeah, it can kill you for a long time. It's good to see Cade kind of come out the other side of that playing well. So very happy for him. Very happy for the Pistons to have some of this coming together. Some hope for the future. You look at Cunningham, you're like, all right, that's actually, he is that dude. So
yeah, he's like the guy for him now. Yeah. And you can see that going forward. On the flip side here for the Atlanta Hawks, you had Zach Reza-Shea have a good game, 30 points. He's been playing pretty well recently. Yeah. But on a night where Trae Young was snubbed, I don't even know if that's the correct word to use here, didn't make the All-Star team. He had an awful night, 15 points, 10 assists, that's good, but on 5 of 16 shooting here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at Trae Young.
No, you're not a Trae Young guy at all.
I'm noted not a Trae Young guy, and he is having a good season. He's leading the NBA in assists, and it is, I can understand the argument of like, how do you have a guy who's leading the league in a major statistical category not be an all-star? But the Hawks are now 22 and 26.
Winning's got to matter, right?
Winning. At what point do we look at the? And I know there's injuries, and it's been kind of tough. But look, Trae has put himself in this position. You've gone through a few coaches there. He had one like really kind of fortuitous run, and since then, I don't think the attitude has been right, and he hasn't influenced winning. Like, I think that's. To me, my big takeaway and why I'm so sour on Trae Young, it's not that he's not talented. It's that he's not winning games. He's not doing, like, why are the Pistons so good? Like, not even so good, but like, why are the Pistons as good as they are? Cade Cunningham you take him off that team and forget it. The Hawks are okay. Like, they're better. They win games without Trae Young.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Like, I know for a fact when the Celtics play the Hawks with Trae Young, they win. When Trae Young doesn't play against the Celtics lose those games. It's just, they're a different team. So I don't know. I'm going to shut up now because the actual, like, go ahead, play the Chappelle Show clip. Hate.
Yeah, right. Noted Trae Young hater.
I'm
John
sorry.
Karalis here.
He's talented. He's good. He's good at basketball. He's just not a winning player.
A team that's not winning games is the Washington Wizards, and they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers 134-96 here. Let's kick it over to Locked On Lakers for more on this one.
This is Andy Kamenetsky, co-host of Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers get a 134-96 win over the Wizards. In and of itself, not a spectacularly big deal. They are, in fact, the Wizards, but the way the Lakers set up this win, I thought was significant. They had a 33-point lead at halftime on 60, 53, 100 splits. They out-rebounded Washington 30-13, only 4 turnovers, and it laid the foundation for a game with a lot of good stuff, all 5 starters in double figures. Shake Milton with 21 points off the bench. Bronny James had an and one. Hell, Dalton Connect got ejected. All sorts of spice in a win that the Lakers really needed to get. For more Lakers coverage, make sure you are watching Locked On Lakers on YouTube and listening wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, Wizards stink. Like, no Anthony, not good. No Anthony Davis in this one. By the way, he was named as an all-star reserve. That's been deserved too. He's been really, really good this season. You don't need that guy against the Washington Wizards right now with how they look.
Probably because Bronny.
I got nothing else here in this game because, yeah, Wizards stink. It was the Lakers. LeBron, 24 points, 10 assists in this one. All right, there we go. Coming up next, what is going on with Orlando, though? They had a bad loss tonight. We got to talk about that. That's coming up here next in Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or my personal favorite, even betting on the coin toss, tails never fails, y'all. FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action with live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, icing on the cake. Or if you're John and me, maybe you take the Boston Celtics minus 10.5 over the New Orleans Pelicans in New Orleans. I kind of like that minus 10.5 here. $5 bet. It's going to get you $200 in bonus bets if you win. So download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. And thank you for making a Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We're here all season long covering everything you love about the association here. By the way, go check out the Locked On daily newsletters for your favorite team. There's one for Locked On Celtics, Locked On Pelicans. Your favorite team has one as well. You can sign up over at lockedondaily.com. Make sure you go check that out. And again, for your second listen, probably actually going to tune into Locked On NFL or any of our Locked On NBA shows because, look, it's the Super Bowl. It's here in New Orleans. I'm not a fan of either team. I need to get caught up a little bit here. So let's move on.
I'm sorry. That's just a classic. Can both teams lose?
Can both teams? Someone's got to win. We'll see how it goes here in New Orleans, though.
Yeah.
Well, you know who did lose? The Orlando Magic.
Boy, did they lose
again to the Portland Trailblazers, 119-90. Let's go over to Locked On Magic for more on this one.
This is Philip Rossman-Wright, the host of Locked On Magic, and as the Orlando Magic continue to sink to the bottom, a 119-90 loss to a very hot and playing well Portland Trailblazers team. Don't want to take any credit away from them. But the bottom line is this. The Orlando Magic made their reputation. They made their season early on in the year in November and in early December by being the hardest working team on the floor. They defended like maniacs for 48 minutes. They dared you to match their effort and intensity, to not give an inch. And oftentimes when you gave them that inch, they took a mile. That was the key to success. It didn't matter if the Magic didn't shoot well. They defended insanely well. That's not happening. Throughout the month of January, they have given up points. They have given up fouls. They've allowed bad shooting to infect their defense. It's been rough. The Orlando Magic have lost their identity, and it's costing them so much this season.
You could hear it in his voice.
He's happy. I don't think he's happy.
That's a rough loss. Like he made a very good point. We'll talk about Portland in a second because they are playing well, but what the heck has happened to this Magic team?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. They had a bunch of injuries.
Tons.
It's been tough to kind of work that back. I think when guys are out, the rest of the group steps up and they play really well. They play hard. And now it's like, oh, Paolo's back. Franz is back. Okay, guys, we're tired. You guys carry us. And it's like, no, you got to get back into the swing of, you got to go through that work. And it's also, you play as hard as they've played to start the season. End of January, that all-star break is sitting there staring you in the face. And this is like the January doldrums a little bit. I think, guys are still banged up. I don't think you're fully healthy. So they have to find a way to get themselves back together because now they're a game below 500. That's not the Magic team that we know. I know the Celtics have had battles with the Orlando Magic, and this is not what they normally are. But we know what they normally are. We know that they need to get to it. So hopefully they can get it back together, and then after a break, get back onto a little bit of a run.
Yeah, look, Phil mentioned the bad defense, but their offense stunk in this game too. They were 5 of 26. Only 26 threes is a bad number anyway. That's less than 20% from three is not going to get it done. You had Banchero, you had Wagner play well, and no one else really did anything. And to your point earlier in what Philip was saying too, right? Like they had a winning record without Banchero, which is kind of wild to me. And it's like, I get that there's going to be an adjustment period when you get everyone back. And they had a losing record without Wagner. They had a losing record without both those guys in the lineup too. But when those guys come back, you feel like it's like the cavalry is coming and should give you a boost. And it's like, look how scrappy we are. But I guess maybe some of the role players think they don't need to be like scrappy, hardworking anymore.
The way you put it, the cavalry is here. It's like relief that
we can take a
cavalry is here. Yeah. That's not what that's not the Orlando Magic. That's not what they do. That's not why they're good. They're not just Paolo and Franz. They are a team. And yeah, the injuries have hurt them, but they are still a good enough team to play better than this. I think, what Phil was putting, out there is it's an effort thing. Defense is purely an effort thing. They clearly have relaxed a little bit and are trying to lean on their stars. and they got to get back to their identity. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. So on the flip side here for the Portland Trailblazers, Scoot Henderson is starting to play really good basketball. He's had about a good month. He had 23 points on the night. He had 7 assists, 5 rebounds, a couple of really great passes, 3 of 5 from deep as well. Perfect 6 of 6 from the line. It's nice to see him after some rookie season struggles in the starting lineup, out of the starting lineup. Same thing for this season. Sometimes starting, sometimes not. To see him really come on and kind of be the dude that we thought he could be has been awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just like I said with Cade, patience. People are getting so down on him. Like,
they wrote him off after his rookie year, and it's like point guards also struggle to adjust, I think, to the NBA too. Like point guards and centers hit that rookie wall pretty hard at times.
Sure. And you're a point guard. Like, who are you passing to? What team is he on? Like, you need good teammates to be a good point guard. Like, this isn't like, well, first of all, it's not like a freak of nature like Wemby, but like, it's not like you're an Anthony Edwards where it's just, hey, your job is to catch the ball, make a move, and score. You're supposed to score, but also set up teammates and understand an NBA, like what NBA defenses are in front of you. Like, I know he came up through the G League thing, but there's still like, you got to do it. And again, Portland has not been great. It's funny. I did a radio thing in Portland this week, and they're asking me about like, why are we winning? Like, what's going on here? Like, we don't want to win. So I know they're happy about Scoop, but they're upset about like
they're 6-4 in their last 10. This is 2 in a row for them now.
This is too many wins for the people in Portland. But if the trade-off is Scoot Henderson becomes that guy, then and hopefully like maybe Ayton starts performing enough, and maybe some of these guys that you're, trying to feature in trades, make them a little bit more, maybe not for this year, but moving on. But to your point, Scoot is his progression. It's right where it's supposed to be. So it's good. It's good to see.
So you mentioned Anthony Edwards there. Let's get to his game with the Minnesota Timberwolves crushing the Utah Jazz 138-113. Let's start it off with Locked On Jazz, then we'll go to Locked On Wolves because I think obviously they're the more interesting story here.
The Utah Jazz were brilliant for 6.5 minutes of this game and led 25-10 to start. Minnesota opened the night 6 of 17, missing 11 of their first 17 shots. It would take them 43 more shots before they missed 12. They went 31 of their next 43, did Minnesota. Anthony Edwards scored just 11 points in the first half and came out and dominated the third quarter as the Timberwolves scored 44 points on 24 possessions. And by the end of the night, the Minnesota Timberwolves had scored 138 points and defeated the Utah Jazz 138-113. Minnesota did this without Julius Randle, who only played 10 minutes tonight. And quite remarkably, Julius Randle in 10 minutes tonight was minus 14. That means in the 38 minutes in which he was off the floor, the Timberwolves were plus 35. Chew on that. Jazz get blasted by the Wolves in the second half here.
All right, let's go over to Locked On Wolves for their
Don't
take.
look now, but the Minnesota Timberwolves have won 5 straight games and are now 6 games above 500 after blowing out the Utah Jazz by 25 on Thursday night. I'm Ben Beacon, host of the daily Locked On Wolves podcast. This thing was an absolute beatdown, and Minnesota came out a little bit flat. They were actually down 15 points in the first quarter. Second night of a back-to-back at altitude after traveling in after a big win over Phoenix the night before. They got on track, and they got on track in a hurry. They were up by 6 at halftime and then doubled up the Jazz in the third quarter, 44-22. Anthony Edwards had 36 points on 18 shots in 35 minutes in this game. He also had 11 assists and 6 rebounds, a career night for rookie Rob Dillingham, 19-8 off the bench, 8 of 11 shooting. We also saw rotation minutes for Luka Garza, 16 points, 3 rebounds. Julius Randle left the game with an apparent groin injury, so we'll have to keep tabs on that. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Wolves for all things Timberwolves.
Anthony Edwards in this one, by the way, as he said, 36 points, also named as an all-star reserve, and yeah, good team beats bad team.
Good team beats bad team. That's it. What more do you need to say?
Nothing. That's going to end it for Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, on Fridays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thank y'all for listening. We'll be back with y'all next week.